Hello and welcome to Love Your Business TV. I'm Adrian Peck and I am very, very pleased that you're here with me today. And as always, this is my 9th week into doing these broadcasts with you, the nation of business owners and entrepreneurs. Very much my passion is to help you either fall in love with your business or fall back in love with your business. I am Adrian Peck. I am the founder of Better Never Stops. We deliver business advice and coaching programs to entrepreneurs and business owners who run or want to run kind of £1 million plus businesses. I am also the author of this wonderful book, which is How to Fall Back in Love with Your Business, the Entrepreneur's Guide to Rediscovering Your Mojo and Enjoying Every Day by Living Your Dream. Like I say, I've been doing this now for about 9 weeks. Obviously, it was pre-lockdown and pre all this disaster happening, but I am, I'm getting more and more comfortable doing it, and I'm hoping that I'm giving everybody lots of value. You can now catch up with us. We broadcast live every Tuesday afternoon at 3:30. We're live on YouTube, on Facebook. You can download the podcast every week on Spotify, Apple, and Google. And you can catch up with previous episodes either on YouTube, Facebook, or on our website, which is loveyourbusiness.tv. And that takes you through to our main website as well. So really, really great pleased to have you here this week. I'm always flattered by the comments and the stuff that you pour back into me. So I really, really thank you for all that and the positive stuff. So this week, I'm going to carry on with the theme around your personal goals, and we'll catch up on that in a second. If you want to reach out to me, as always, it's adrian.peck@peckuk.com, and let's kind of crack on, really. So we've been looking at personal ambition, the personal ambition plan. This was on the back of the feedback I had from lots of business owners that I network with and I talk to, that they were using this time to kind of sit and reflect. Those ones that were kind of locked out and the business was kind of being put on pause. They were saying to me, look, Adrian, I've put my business on pause and I'm using the time to kind of reflect on my business really, and particularly look forward about what's going to happen post-lockdown. So the things I've been sharing with you over the last couple of weeks really is around this kind of personal ambition plan. It's something that I use with all the business owners that I work with. It's normally part of the kind of initial 4-week strategy that I do with them, which is around really kind of setting their personal business strategy. The content I'm going to share with you, again, it's the stuff I do with my business owners. It's also in my book. There's a whole chapter dedicated to this. And if you go onto my website, betterneverstops.global, if you go onto the free business tools section, you will see all of the stuff that I'm sharing with you, all the models, the forms, the questionnaires, all that kind of stuff I'm sharing with you. That's all on there. You can download it, all completely free of charge. It's out there for you to use and abuse and hopefully feedback on me and give me positive praise about. I do hope. So over the last couple of weeks, we've been kind of building up. There's a couple of weeks ago, I shared with you the formula for success and really demystifies that myth that there is that genius is born, and hopefully I'll prove clearly categorically that it isn't, particularly with the help of the Hungarian genius, the chess man. And hopefully they've got that. So then last week, the last couple of weeks, we've been then looking at the personal ambition plan around your personal ambition questionnaire, and then went to work on to the values, income, and purpose. So what we've done so far really is kind of started bedding in what it is that you want out of your life, what it is you want out of your business. And therefore, kind of how does that all start coming together? So you have a personal plan, a personal ambition of what it is you want to achieve. And that is so important for you to really understand what that end game is. And it's all very much built on the basis that the journey is more important than the destination. I'm going to touch on this in a couple of weeks' time. I'm going to do a whole presentation on this, just to really kind of push the point home that you have to enjoy what you're doing, and there has to be a purpose to what you're doing. Otherwise, what's the point? In essence, what's the point if you don't enjoy it? So this is what it's all about. What we're going to move on to this week is actually looking at your exit and exiting your business. Now, arguably, that may seem quite a strange question at the moment, given what's going on in the world, and probably, or actually not. It may be not the first thought that you've got in your head about exiting your business. A lot of it's about survival at the moment, but the exit is really, really important. There are so many business owners that build a business, and when they come to sell it, it all kind of goes horribly wrong, and actually find out that they can't sell it. I'm going to share some insight with you there in a second about that. So the whole reason about looking at your business from a point of selling it, to me, it's a bit like when you own a home. When you own a home, you don't leave all the improvements and the maintenance until the day that you come to put it on the market to sell it. It's something that you do all the time in your house. You look after it, you redecorate it, you try and make improvements, because you're doing that on the basis that at the end of the day, you want to sell your house. Invariably, you try to not do something to your house that is so personal to you that would stop other people buying it. So to me, it's the same with your business. A well-run business is a well-run business. And if you've got that mindset, or that you've got an eye on the game that is actually about exiting your business, and therefore what you're doing today in your business is actually part of that strategy. It's part of that thoughts you've got that I need to build this business, so at some point I need to exit it. So it's an ongoing maintenance thing you do, and it's an ongoing process that you have, is that's always the end game to it. If you don't, it has some real ramifications, because all of a sudden you've got a business that you may need to exit. You may need to exit in a hurry because of health, or because of a personal need that you need to do, and you can't exit it, or it has no value. So that's why it's important to kind of think about this all the time, and to start with that bit. I touch on this in my book, and it's a book that I read many moons ago, actually, and I have reread it a couple of times since, to be honest. It's a book by Stephen Covey. It's a very, very popular book. It's about the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. And one of the bits in his book is about beginning with the end in mind, is the way that he terms it. And it's the same with this, really. What I'm suggesting to you is that you should run your business with that end in mind all the time. So again, why is it so important? Over 80% of businesses for sale do not sell. And that's a fairly scary statistic. 80% of businesses don't sell, that go for sale. And these are the 4 real big reasons that they don't sell as well. One of it is lack of preparation, and it kind of goes back to that house analogy I gave you, that if your business isn't in the state to be sold, it's very difficult then to sell it. It has very poor financial results, and of course, whoever's going to buy your business is looking for return on investment. So again, it's about having the financials in place. There's an over-reliance on the owner, and that happens time and time and time again. And it's a bit like the juggler juggling the balls. You can take some of the balls away, but you can't take away the juggler. And you've got to not be that juggler in your business. And the 4th one, and not surprisingly, and I've been on the receiving end of this a lot when I've gone out and worked with my business owners to buy businesses, is the unrealistic valuation. People believe that they've got £1 million business, and therefore it's worth £2 million. They've got £1 million turnover business, and therefore it's worth £2 million. And actually, when you scratch away at all, they're barely earning £100,000 a year out of it. The numbers just don't stack up. So you've got to have that end game in mind about what it is you want out of your business and how you're going to exit it. So what I'm going to share with you now is I'm going to take you through, there's about 6 really, what the options actually are to exit your business. So we're going to go through each one by one. We're not going to go through in huge detail. I'm very mindful of people's time. If you want to dig in more, so there's a whole heap of information in my book, and there's also the guides and stuff that I've shared with you online as well on my website. So what are those 6 options? And they are 6 key options. There's a couple that I'll touch on right at the end, but really there's 6 key options. So the first one is liquidation. So actually what you can do is you can run your business with in mind the fact that you are just going to sell it at the end of it. It's kind of a bit more of a lifestyle type business, and you know that you are the main guy, and at the end of it you are going to sell it. So I was talking a couple of weeks ago to a guy who runs a very particular tax type accountancy or a consultancy type business. And whilst he's got a team of people that help him and support him and help him do some of the nitty gritties on a day-to-day basis, the reality is that expertise is all about him. So it's been very, very difficult to him to sell that business outside of him because he is the expertise. And it's kind of almost like, Chris Evans trying to sell Chris Evans' business. Chris Evans is Chris Evans. So you get the point, it's all about the business owner. Now, that's not a wrong strategy. If that's what your business is about, then that's not a bad strategy. The bit you've got to be able to do out of it is that when you make your money, to reinvest into other stuff. So actually what you do every single year is you purposely run the business very lean, very slick, and you use it as a vehicle to then generate you cash to go and invest in other stuff. Now that other stuff could be pensions, etc. Could be property, could even be other businesses. But that's kind of how you do it. And for a lot of kind of solo entrepreneurs and single business owners, invariably that's the only option is to liquidate the business at the end. You sell off all the assets, and the rest of it's got very little added value to it. So you kind of strip it all of its money. I say it's a very relevant reason. It's not a bad strategy at all, but obviously that is a strategy to have. So the next one is then about family, where you're going to look to pass your business on to a family. And I work with a couple of business owners now, and one of them is definitely there to pass on to their son, who we are helping and grooming in that process to eventually take the business over. Obviously, you need to groom that successor. And there's an ability then to stay on in a capacity at the end of it as well as an advisor. There is a few sort of kind of cons with it in terms of you have to make sure there is a willing and interested and skilled family member to take it on. There also can cause some family tension when there's other siblings and that person's taking over. I've seen that a couple of times. Always difficult in family businesses. And sometimes it can be slow to develop that person as well. So it's not necessarily a quick exit plan, but it's something if you've got a 5 or 10 year view you're taking of it, you can kind of do that. Also with the business owner, the current business owner, you have to be very mindful of the fact it might be difficult. You have to ask yourself a really deep question is, can you let go? Are you even able to let go of your baby and not interfere? Because that's kind of the worst thing you can do if you are going to hand it over. So that's the family one. Let's move on then to selling to your employees, often known as a kind of management buyout, but you can do what's called an employee share ownership plan as well, where the shares of the company are actually divided up into employees and employees become shareholders. I think it's it comes in a second. It's one of the big brands is this way as well. The name just gone out of my head. But they have, there's a couple of big brands out there that have got this kind of employee shareholder type options. I worked with a business a few years ago, a big engineering company, the owner had died, and in his will he actually wanted the business to be passed over in like a 2-year period over to the employee. So it can be done. Again, it's an easy transaction for business because it has very little disruption to it, because it's literally going to step out, and people are going to just literally, the people that are in it are going to carry on running it. Again, you can be kept on with in an advisory capacity, and you can be very loyal to the people that are working with. I know that a lot of times I work with business owners, one of the things that's always in their head when they've grown this business and they've put people there is they really care about the people that they employ. So very rightfully, when it comes up for a sale, they're very nervous about what's going to happen to the employees, and they want their employees to be looked after because of the loyalty they've shown to them. So this way is absolutely kind of cements that, and you can then, say, pass the ownership of the business over to the employees. However, it doesn't mean that whoever is there, and there's a management team that is willing, interested, and skilled enough to run the business, that they have to be able to raise the funds. So the whole proposition needs to be financially viable. And again, it can be such slow at times to develop that handover, because that handover may need to happen over a few years. It may not be something that can be done very, very quickly. Okay, so that's that one, and we move on to number 4, which is the option is to sell it to the open market. So that, there are various agencies out there, mergers, acquisitions type organisations, consultancy type companies that can hopefully advertise your business and go and sell it. But you've got to bear in mind that only 20% of those listed business actually do sell. But if your business is profitable and well run, and it will be attractive and it will sell quite quickly, so there's no reason that it's not a bad option. The difficult ones are low margin and high assets. So I work with a lot of engineering type businesses, engineering manufacturers, and they have a lot of plant equipment that's quite expensive, and therefore, in order to buy the business, there's a price for that on the balance sheet. And for instance, if there's £1 million worth of plant equipment as valued that sits on the balance sheet, then you've got the kind of working capital that needs to be in the business, and then you've got your goodwill that you're going to be paying for. So let's say we were up to £2 million now that somebody's got to buy this business. Clearly, if that business is only making £100,000 a year in net profit, that's a really bad ratio in terms of I'm going to spend £2 million to get £100,000 back. So the finances have really got to stack up on it, and it's really difficult with some engineering businesses that work on very low margins to actually then do that exit. But it can be quite quick, and it can be quite a straight sale at that as well. But it's that kind of mindful that it's got to stack up. This is number 5, selling to a competitor. This is probably the most likely, it's probably the most valuable option for you. If you just think through the logic of it, let's take the scenario of if you've got a car that's 2 years old, okay, you've got a two-year-old Audi A4, for instance. The person that's most likely to buy it is one with a 4 or 5-year-old Audi A4. That's the most likely person. The most likely person already owns an Audi. So very similar to selling your business to a competitor, the person that's going to value it most is somebody that's already running that type of business, or it's somebody that can readily bolt on your business into their business, and therefore it's going to extend what they have. But like I say, most likely, where you're going to get most value is from one of your competitors. They can bolt it into their existing business. They're going to remove you from the market, so therefore it puts them in a more competitive edge straight away as well. They're going to have some economies of scale by taking you out of the market, because they won't necessarily have to put all the head office infrastructure in, that they can just kind of absorb that into their business potentially. So it's a great way, and probably say the most valuable way of getting a good return on your business. One of the things you're very mindful of is if you are very loyal to your employees and the people that have worked for you and helped you build your business, you've got to really make sure the motives of who's going to buy your business. I was involved in something last year, and it was very clear when we sat down and talked to the people that made an offer for the business that they were literally going to strip that business, and they were going to basically kind of fire all the employees in reality. Straight away, the business owner I'm working with, that put them off completely from doing it because of that loyalty to their employees. There's no way they were going to do it. So in terms of a few cons along it, the one thing you're going to do is you're going to be very vulnerable in the process, because you have non-disclosure agreements and you put all that stuff in place, but to be honest, they mean bloody nothing really. If you're going to open your heart and soul to a prospective buyer, and particularly to one of your competitors, they're going to see your business warts and all. And, it's a real kind of drop your pants time, and look at what I've got, and they're going to know exactly it. So you've got to be very clear about this. You've got to be very clear in your process of choosing who it is you're going to invite to buy your business, because of that vulnerability that you're going to have. And if you choose not to sell your business at the end of it, clearly you've shown them everything. And that process can fall down at any moment as well. So that's the option of selling to your competitor. The last option I have then is it's a managed. It's about then turning your business into a managed business. So you're going to step out of it, and you're going to put a management team or have the extended management team to carry on running it for you. Now, in reality, this is only a staged exit. There still has to be a golden exit from it, but it's something certainly that you can do and keep the business going for a long time. So, for instance, I've worked with a business owner before, and he was absolutely adamant. When we helped him pull the strategy together, he was absolutely adamant that he was going to take this business to the grave. He was absolutely going to do it. And that's what he wanted to do. But I helped him put a strategy in place that at some point he could put that management team in place, which allowed him then to step back from it. He carried on in like a chairmanship type role, and had some involvement to it, but he kind of let go of it. And it was an absolute deliberate strategy we've done. He had a real massive problem with letting anybody basically look after his baby. It was just something that he just couldn't see, didn't want anybody else doing. It was his baby, only he was ever going to look after this baby. So that was kind of what we done. So there is a way of doing it. Again, you've got to assume that their skills and they're willing for the managers to take it over, and the business is profitable enough to have a management team and still pay you a good income out of it as well. Again, there's some time constraints that may take you to do it as well. Even though you are still going to be involved, you've still got to be able to let other people get on and manage your business as well for you. So you've got to be very mindful of that. The other options that I did touch on, that's the kind of 6 main ones. There is the option of putting your company up in the stock market. It's very, very unlikely for the sort of businesses that are from most walks of life. And the stock market stuff, it tends to be for businesses that have, started off with that view that this is what they're going to do, is they're aiming to float the business from day one. Of course, within the 6 that I've shown you, there are many kind of hybrid models in there where there are stepping stones or something that might take you to the end exit. So they're not kind of rooted in. Whilst I've taken you through the 6, there are kind of, let's say, different versions of those you can go through as well. There's also other things you've got to be mindful of if you do sell it, if there's any kind of earn out. situations in there as well, because owners invariably will say, well, we'll pay you this lump here and we'll pay you that lump here. So there's various kind of scenarios that go around as well. But you need to just have, the whole point of this is that you have an understanding of what that's likely to happen, so that you start running your business today with that mindset in place. And therefore, you aren't, a bit like when you do with your house, you aren't all of a sudden putting a grotesque, I don't know, mannequin on top of the roof of the house that there's no way that somebody else is going to buy it. You've got that end game in the mind all the time. So that's your personal ambition plan. That's your exit we've now discussed. There's all your options. If you want to go through them, there's a chart that I've done for you. If you go on to Better Never Stops and the free business tools, there's a chart you can download. If you're looking for exit options under the strategy, there's a chart you can download and go through. And that's it. So next week, we're going to move on to your personal vision map, something I love to death and I'm looking forward to sharing with you. It's a great way of visualizing your goals and to keep you highly motivated to achieving those goals as well. So I'm looking forward to sharing that with you, which is a personal vision map next week. And say, if you want any more, if you want a free copy of my book, just reach out to me, adrian.peck@peckuk.com, and I will gladly send you a free copy of my book. And as always, stay safe, and I look forward to spending some time again with you next week. Keep that feedback coming in. I do appreciate it, and if nothing else, it lifts my spirits. So thank you very much, and remember, better never stops.